swag of a prize fighter. The antithesis of a firefighter. Arsonist, I'm a fire rider. Instant flame like a firelighter. So special with shows, I live out my flows. Can't walk in my shoes, can't purchase my clothes. Ice in my veins, but I never froze. Picture perfect, but I never pose. As a juvenile, I knew I bounced back. Got rated, had a plan to get my ounce back. Use cheese as bait, that's a mousetrap. Let me to the right person to pounce at. They selling dreams, I'm pulling receipts. Full force, we can't be beat. Got a dirty mouth, but the flow so neat. Keep your 2 cents, talk is cheap.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros is comments made by Eddie Hearn, and he revealed his plan to rebuild Anthony Joshua. So we're going to take a look at the video for a little bit and then just listen to it because I don't want any copyright issues, especially with DAZN. They're not happy with us lately. So let's take a listen to what Eddie Hearn had to say, and then we'll discuss it.
Generally, you want 10 to 12 weeks. AJ, he's fighting a month earlier than Canelo Alvarez, so he'll be pretty much ready to go with an announcement in the next week or so. We pretty much know his date. We're down to the 3 or 4 opponents that we're talking to. Obviously, rumours of his new training team. There'll be a full announcement soon from Anthony Joshua on that. But he's in a great place. He's ready to start camp, actually. And I believe this week that camp will begin.
And when you say there are a couple of guys in the runnings for an AJ fight, is AJ the type of guy to say, Eddie, I don't care. Any of those 3 are fine with me. Eddie, you pick the guy. Has he ever been there?
Honestly, I couldn't give Anthony Joshua an opponent that he would turn down. It's more about the training team act, the new team. Obviously, the plan now is to rebuild him into the heavyweight world champion, to become a 3-time world heavyweight champion. And the trainer will want to take the appropriate steps to do that. It's all very well being brave and listening to Twitter, and going out there and fighting Deontay Wilder and doing this and doing that. But there has to be a plan. There has to be a smart plan. And the smart plan is he wants to return against a top 15 guy, a credible fight, then move forward in the summer with probably Dillian White, and then move forward against, I guess, Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury into a mega fight, in the autumn of 2023. For me, the key here is to see him box 3 times this year. He has been doing active for a mixture of COVID and big events and mandatories and negotiations and fights in the Middle East. And he's excited. He's in a great place mentally. Like I said, camp's about to start for him. And I expect to see a great performance from him in April.
So it's safe to say that, AJ Wilder could happen in 2023. And on your end, at one point, the communication was, pretty much not happening with his team. But I know you communicated with Shelly Finkel and those guys. Are you optimistic about it now?
Yeah, there's an open line of communication with Shelly. He's going to fight Andy Ruiz. We know that fight's been ordered. And AJ's going to come back, looks like the first week of April. So, look, when people talk about rebuilding, we're not rebuilding here. We're just looking for momentum. I'm talking about one fight. I'm not talking about a fight against someone you've never heard of. I'm talking about a top 15 guy that AJ can go in, work with a new training team, and have a big stadium fight in the summer. I'm not even ruling out number 2. Fight 2 of the year could be Deontay Wilder. But we've got a plan. This guy is one of the biggest stars in boxing. This guy has so much more to give to the heavyweight division. But this is also a very important moment that we must get right.
So that's what Eddie Hearn had to say about Anthony Joshua and the plan to rebuild Anthony Joshua, which he said, and then he said, we're not trying to rebuild him, in classic Eddie style, contradicted himself in the same interview. But anyways, Phil Dollar Bill, what's your reaction to what Eddie Hearn just said?
This is a business. That's what I got for what Eddie was saying. This is a business, Joshua will fight anybody, Joshua is a fighter, we all know Joshua is a warrior, but this is a business. And they gotta move like a business. And they done messed up in the past, made some bad business decisions, So they said this time we're gonna get the business right. And then it's not rebuilding. It's rebuilding the business.
Yeah, it's rebranding, right?
It's rebranding, not rebuilding.
All right, TV.
I like it if it's executed properly. You know, we don't want to be like, oh, we're gonna rebuild or rebrand AJ, and then he fights first week of April and he gets his lights knocked out, and then now it's like, damn, like like AJ's stock drops even more. I want to see it execute. I don't know why I'm stumbling over my words. I want to see it
It's our fault.
I don't want to see him. I don't see this plan poorly executed, and I want to see AJ have success again. I want to see AJ bounce back from this. I want to see him improve. I want to see him train with the fighters he need to train with the trainers he need to train with, so that I can understand, like, it's more than just going 12 rounds. It's more. It's about punching through. It's about fighting. It's about your motor in you. Like that dog, is it really in you, AJ? Like, I want to see that, But if you're gonna come back in April and then just change what is it? Comcast to Xfinity, I'm gonna sit on your services, bruh. I am. But yeah, that's what I'm
For the
saying.
viewers, what about the viewers who don't know the difference between Comcast and Xfinity? Can you explain it to them, TV?
All right. If you guys don't know Comcast or Xfinity, they're the same thing. But Comcast, they will provide a net. They provided phone, internet, and cable. Yeah. They provided all of that. The triple play.
People knew Comcast service was horrible. People
Horrible.
were fed up with Comcast, and so they decided there's only one thing left to do: change our name and logo, but provide the same service.
So that's all I'm saying. AJ, if you're really serious, like, I feel there's some fighters who take this game serious. Like, that's why I love Canelo. Canelo, he fights the best. He cares about his legacy, and he shows that he's the face of boxing for a reason. I feel AJ has that heart, but he needs to really solidify his determination on what he wants to do in this game. And that's why, if this is your plan, it has to be executed properly. Or if it's executed poorly, we don't want it. Take it out my house. Take your box, take your modem and your phone lines, because we don't want it.
It's very interesting to me because you talk about, like, when Eddie came into the game, he was supposed to be a disruptor. Disruptors changed the game. I'll give you an example, like Netflix and Blockbuster. Netflix came in the game and put Blockbuster out of business. So, like, in the beginning, Netflix operates at a loss because they realize it's necessary to take out their competitor. But once you take out your competitor, that's when you can start making the money. Here's the issue with Eddie Hearn, though. In his concept, he didn't disrupt. He becomes more and more like the people he was supposed to change and the people he was competing against every time I see him. For example, DAZN was supposed to take away pay-per-view. There was supposed to be no pay-per-view with DAZN. You were supposed to pay a set fee every month, and you can watch all these great fights. But now there's DAZN pay-per-view. So he ends up adopting the dinosaur model. And he was supposed to be the guy who was going to make all the big fights. And why is people scared to make these fights? And we just saw, for some reason, Anthony Joshua wasn't available on December 3rd to fight Tyson Fury. People could make it seem like it was Tyson Fury, but Eddie Hearn came out and said, my commercial partners have some issues with the contract that was sent or whatever. Now, imagine if a fight between Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua doesn't take place because of Deontay Wilder's commercial partners, how he would be ripping him. We already put the contradiction of Eddie Hearn out there. So now he's talking about Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, in which Deontay Wilder was willing to fight Anthony Joshua next. And he's like, we got a plan for Anthony Joshua. We want him to return against a top 15 guy. And then we want him to fight 3 times this year. And then he says, maybe we'll give him Deontay Wilder the second fight. He sounds a lot more and more like Al Heyman every day. What happened to the daredevil? What happened to the guy who was making the big fights and you're sick of guys blocking the big fights? Now, maybe Anthony Joshua will be ready to take on Deontay Wilder in his second fight of this year. Now Deontay Wilder saying, give me Joshua. Okay, you don't want to give me Joshua? I'll take Andy Ruiz. And now you're talking about a top 15 guy. Last time I checked, Andy Ruiz is higher than the top 15 guy. This is what I'm saying. And you're right, Trill. This rebranding sounds a lot like PBC. This rebranding sounds a lot like Top Rank. You were supposed to be the disruptor, though. You were supposed to disrupt that. Instead, what we have is the Zone pay-per-view. What we have is Anthony Joshua, the dude who everyone viewed, or most people viewed, as the number 1 heavyweight in the world at one particular point in time, now on a rebuilding plan. That you called a rebuilding plan and then later on try to say it's not really rebuilding. How the mighty have fallen. And this is what I was getting at from the jump. Everyone's like, oh, don't you want promoters to make the big fights and the best fights when it's logical? Now he's saying that. Now he's saying what I was saying. Now that Demetrius Andrade's gone to PBC, now that Devin the Dream Haney is going to Top Rank, now he's just back to being a local UK guy. But he was supposed to be this disruptor. So to answer the question, I don't think this is Eddie Hearn's plan. I think Eddie Hearn's hand was forced. I think people are done listening to Eddie Hearn. They look at his losses. They look at the results of the decisions he's made. And I think the people who got money invested in Anthony Joshua said, if you make that Tyson Fury fight, we're withdrawing our stock. And I think they've made it clear to him, you better put Anthony Joshua in some fights he can win and rebuild that momentum in Anthony Joshua, or we're withdrawing our stock in Anthony Joshua. And the deal he just signed with the Zone puts the Zone's future on his back. Remember, we went over that deal. So even the Zone, I think, is saying to him, like, hold on a damn minute. We just put all our eggs in the Anthony Joshua basket, and you want to put that basket in front of Tyson Fury? You want to put that basket in front of the dude who just knocked Hellenius into another galaxy? Pump your brakes, buddy. Put him in there with an easy touch. Put him in there with another easy touch. And then maybe after we recoup some of this money, that you've lost us, we'll let him fight one of those threats. That's where it's at right now with Anthony Joshua. And I try to tell you.
Let us know how you feel in the comment section. Please like and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We are the Boxing Bros.